Okay, we are going to return to our open session. We are recording this part of the meeting. We are on item number 5, public comment on agenda items. Is there any public comment that would like to be stated that on items that are on this agenda?
We didn't receive any, so.
Okay.
We didn't receive any electronic.
We do have a public comment we received one for the second
Yes.
part. Yeah.
Yes, for the second part, yeah.
Then we'll move on to action items. 6.1 is the decision related to the matter we heard in executive session. So I would entertain a motion.
I'm going to make the motion that we accept the decision of our superintendent and move to dismissal.
Do I hear a second?
One second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I would just like to say that in 35 plus years of serving on this board, I have never been in a more difficult position, more conflicted position, more painful position. This is the last thing that I ever would have thought I would be doing, let alone with such a heavy heart. So I just, I think for me, it's a cut and dry case of law, and as a duly elected representative, required to uphold the law, I see no way out, and I wish I did, but I really, really don't. So troubling for sure.
Any other discussion?
Feel the same way.
I do too. This is terrible. This is one of the worst things I've had to go through for sure. Okay, the motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor of accepting Superintendent O'Mara's recommendation for dismissal, raise your hand. All those opposed? Motion passes 3-1. Moving on to action item 6.2, board policy review and adoption. This is
Second readings of the
second
policy.
reading. Any questions or discussion? I noticed we have one of the policies here. Is that
down
oh, is that for farther down? Okay.
First reading.
Okay. Any other questions on the or discussion on the policies that we reviewed last meeting? If not, I would entertain a motion.
A motion that we approve policies that we were brought for second review.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor of adopting the policies we reviewed, raise your hand. That's a unanimous vote to approve, or adopt, I should say. Action item 6.3, approve the 2022-23 district calendar as presented in the packet. Oh, and it's on the screen?
Yeah. I thought I put it on the screen. It's a typical calendar starting in end of August for in-service day. The red are professional development days, conferences, and then Thanksgiving, and then 2 weeks for the holiday break. It's a typical calendar, so it's been through all of the staff hands and union, so just need approval.
Okay. We end up with the right number of instruction
Yes.
days.
Yep, we did.
Okay. Any questions or discussion on the calendar? Do I hear a motion to approve the 2022-23 district calendar? second?
Wait, are we leaving?
No.
No. Did you move, did somebody move?
Yes, Michelle moved.
Yeah,
Yes.
second. Second.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor of approving the 22-23 district calendar as proposed, raise your hand. Motion passes unanimously. 6.4, the resignation of Sean Amaro. This was in the packet. Any discussion needed?
No.
Okay.
Wish you didn't have to go.
Shortest resignation letter ever.
I know, could he be more long-winded?
Tell him it was
He's,
really touching.
he's ready.
I was touching it.
I'm just retired and I'm going back to retire.
Yeah.
I moved that we approve the resignation of Sean O'Meara.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries unanimously. 6.5, graduation policy, first reading. Okay, I get it now. Thank you. Any,
Brenda has this one.
okay, what are we looking at, Brenda?
So we talked about it earlier in the year, but didn't solidify it, and so I just want to make sure we officially get a first reading approved. And it's honoring kids that have risen to a higher rigor. It's something that we've worked on. We've talked about it at previous board meetings. I don't know if Andrea was on board at the time, but if we look to the second page where it talks about honors, basically, in order to get an honors diploma, they need the same amount of credits, 24 or more, and then they need 4 years of math, science, language arts, and science, social studies. I didn't know what social studies. Anyway, and then basically they need all the criteria in addition to, in order to be accepted to a 4-year university if they wanted. So 2 years of a second language, or meeting a test, making, like for kids that came in maybe dual language, they could pass a test in both, right? And then they need to pass proficiency scores on exams. That can be SAT, ACT, a lot of them that four-year college is required anyway. And the thing that's a little tricky, I was working with OSBA on it, and they're like, well, what's the course catalog say? Well, it says we do not know who's going to be teaching year to year, and as much as we've, like we invested in College Now last year, this year it's still College Now, but it's Western Civ instead of writing, and so it's going to have to change year to year. But we're going to have some classes that have both honors and regular diploma or regular credits earned in the same classroom. The kids that choose the honors route will have to do additional. Michelle will love this. There's a public speaking part of it, which is part, right? It is. It's what we expect our kids, we want to work on that, and that's a focus. And then any college class, for example, automatically qualifies. So if they take a dual enrolled, we had one girl take a health class online. So that person gets automatic college credit, which is an incentive to take college classes in high school. We had talked about it before. It's just a way of upping the rigor, and I feel like the classes we're offering that are honored do that, and it gives our kids, it gives them more of an education that'll prepare them for post-graduation education. So, any questions about that?
I have just a couple.
Great.
Go for it.
Just because we never know what we're gonna be able to offer in person, right? Like, there's the 2 credits in a second language, or a pass and score on a second language proficiency test. Like, I'm assuming that that we would just offer online if we can't offer language in-house, is that?
We will, and then we can, with board approval, if we don't have a second language teacher and we feel like that, we can still, there's workarounds with that, based on whether we have a teacher that will teach a second language.
Right, okay, cause I was looking for like, anything that was like, or that, like, anything that was like, these may change, but there'd be equivalent requirements or something like that, if needed.
I don't know if that,
Yeah,
I don't
'Cause as
know
it's
that
written
would
right now-
fly because it would be too wishy-washy.
I know, but right now as it's written, it's not wishy-washy, but our problem is our situation is wishy-washy.
Yeah.
So anyway, but I mean, online is an option for that, but it is hard for some students to do, especially languages and online stuff, so it's possible, but it's, yeah. So,
You're speaking from personal experience.
I am speaking
I
from
know,
personal
we-
experience.
Talking about that,
Yes.
that was a rough one when you were in high school.
Yeah, and so, but just, so like, I don't know if, the wording is pretty solid here for that. And then the other one I had is that, passing scores on math and language arts SBAC or graduation cut score on SAT, ACT, would those be modified requirements for students on IEPs or 504s who are trying to get, graduation diplomas, who had, any sort of accommodations that were relevant?
If it was a 504, but with accommodations, not modifications,
I don't know.
then yes,
Mhm.
and the difference in language. Accommodations are what's needed to access the same content. Modifications actually modify the learning.
Mhm, right.
So, if there were modifications, no, we would not accept it. Accommodations, we would, to me, because that doesn't change the integrity of the
Mhm.
process. But we have an honors committee
Yeah.
that has changed because of the turnover.
Mhm.
But we had talked about that as being part of, like, in order to get into a four-year college, these are the
Mhm.
requirements.
Mhm.
And so we wanted to make sure that every child that earned a diploma, an honors diploma,
Right.
met the criteria of a four-year university.
Yeah, which I mean, I agree with, but I think that I don't know, like, part of what I'm excited about this is inspiring students, to want to attain something, and they may not be students who want to go to a four-year university, but they may want to be excellent in whatever they're doing. And so I
And
want to
you-
make sure we're providing a path for that and not.
The path might not be an honors diploma in that case, but they certainly are encouraged to take the classes.
Yeah, I know, I hear you.
But if we're gonna put, my feeling is, there's a little prestige behind getting the honors diploma.
Yeah,
And if you make it, I would be open for the discussion.
yeah, I'm just thinking that, so like, it sounds like a student with an IEP has modifications. So they would not even be eligible for an honors diploma as it is right now.
There's
if they
students
couldn't
on
take
the,
those
there's
tests.
students on IEPs that have modifications would not be allowed to have modified, huge curriculum modifications and still get honors credit, or go towards an honors diploma. They could get honors credit, but not a diploma. But most of the kids would not, I'm trying to think of because I'm also sped director. I really don't feel it's limit, I don't know, I have to think about that one.
Yeah.
That might be something to talk about with the committee.
Because the kids that you're talking about, almost all of them are getting a modified diploma. Which is not,
Not all IEPs are, not,
no, not all.
then what?
No, not for the, no, because there's some that aren't like, that, they're IEPs.
Not
for
all
reasons
IEPs
that
have
aren't-
modified diploma,
No,
for
yeah.
sure.
No.
But if you weren't modifying the class, the
They could-
curriculum at all.
Then they could,
They could access it
Yes.
and they would be fine.
it's only if they have a modified curriculum, then it's,
Exactly.
Right,
And
so
it's
those
So
have
your
to qualify.
IEP, we have IEPs that don't get modified, they get accommodated.
Yeah,
yeah,
That
that's
would still
different.
count.
yeah.
Yeah.
So your students that would excel in this class, they could certainly be on an IEP and take it, and they could get an honors diploma with accommodations. So some examples would
I think
be,
that's where the line is, accommodations versus modifications.
it
Right.
is, modifications means they're really not getting the content in the same way. Accommodations is with supports, they are.
Right.
So an example could be a student that really struggles with math facts. They might be allowed to use a calculator, and that's an accommodation. But they're still doing the same equations as somebody.
Right.
But if it's a modification, instead of doing the two-step equations, maybe they're doing simple one-step and they never get to the two-step.
Right.
So they're really not getting that level of. So that's the difference between and that, it's taken a long time for me to kind of completely get the difference.
Yeah, no, I.
So accommodations, yes, but modifications would not
Right.
be appropriate. And for the kids that are getting modifications, they are rarely getting a regular diploma. They're getting a modified diploma.
Right.
So my question is, why are we doing this? Is this to require more rigor out of our kids, or is this about prestige?
Well, I said prestige too, but for some kids it's about prestige. It's about wanting that diploma. But it's also been a huge incentive for kids to work hard. And one of the challenges in this time, and not just post-pandemic or wherever we are in the pandemic, one of the challenges is apathy, and like being just good enough. Like C's good enough. That's just enough. From these kids that have a lot more to learn in it, and there's an energy that's in these classes, and it's not a prestige like name. It's I'm working my butt off. I'm getting recognized. I'm getting credit. And one of the things is that it is a boost to the GPA. I don't even know if I don't know if they have it in here, but it will be just like AP or anything. And so it's being recognized for working hard. The other thing is, with our high school success grant and work, one of the things is how are you getting all kids equitable access? And as we know in this community, poverty is a huge barrier, right? And so how are we targeting not the kids that we know are probably going to go on, or that have the family support and the family history of education that makes it so that the families are talking about it at home? Is how do we get all kids to have that? And so we have kids in these honors classes that, we had one kid this year who quite honestly failed all last year, but we knew that that student had the potential. We threw them in Western Civ and they were, and that worked for them. So it's trying to get all kids access to it. It's not just a few.
Are we gonna have, kind of like the language arts and stuff, or the foreign languages stuff too. It's kind of, if you have the staff to create that challenge though, right?
Mm-hmm. And we have. So we can have regular classes that have both honors and regular credit options.
In the same class?
In the same class.
Yeah.
Okay.
And kids will get to choose whether they want to do the regular curriculum or excel and be challenging themselves, do extra homework, do extra research, do an extra presentation, and basically rise to the occasion of the honors in the same classroom as a student who's not.
And that is across the board in all the classes?
No. So teachers, we have a committee, and again, it's changed because of the turnover, but we have a committee, and in the spring we meet, and we talked about last spring, we meet and we look at classes, and we have teachers propose whether or not, if they want, they have to propose what they will do to ensure the rigor for the honors, and then have the other students earning regular credit. We are giving kids a couple weeks to decide, because they gotta kind of get in the groove, look at the syllabus, and decide, especially not knowing who the teachers are going to be necessarily. And then, so does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense. If we're promoting it, I would want to know we could truly offer it and support it, and I don't know that we're there right now with a lot of staff turnover, but I could be wrong.
So we just hired a teacher. Sorry. Health doesn't end or start or end at any age. I just got these today. So, so this year, for example, we have engineering. Lou is going to offer us science as long as he's here. I don't anticipate him going anywhere. That advanced science is one. We are talking about, this is the cool part, we haven't evolved it to this point, but it doesn't have to be core academics. We have a new teacher that was hired for arts that has like high rigor. She is so exciting to learn from, and I'm so excited. We could see an art class being offered as honors. There's no reason it has to be college, and it doesn't, we can make it happen. We even talked about what would an honors weightlifting or an exercise class. We haven't figured that out yet, but we're not like saying it has to be these core classes. And so we have an art teacher who's gonna also has the ability to teach college now writing next year, sort of very similar to what we've had in the past. And then we are in the process of hiring, as you know, ELA and math. And our goal will be to get them to offer higher level thinking classes. And then I'm trying to think of other classes right now that we're offering. Western Civ is being offered.
I was just thinking, you also offer the opportunity for students to seek classes outside of what we're offering here in person and bring those to the committee and propose that they be honors courses.
Yes.
So that's another way you can pursue an honors course too. I'm not sure, I don't know, I'm sorry, I sort of butted in there, but it was just,
No.
in addition to what we are working to offer in person, there's that option too.
Well, one of the frustrations about teaching in a small school is if I'm teaching 9th grade ELA, the reality is because of our population and because of our beliefs about pushing in struggling learners, because if they are always pulled out, they don't have access to their grade level curriculum, and they're always taught low, right? Like that doesn't make sense. And so what this affords a teacher to be able to do is say, I'm going to teach here to everybody, but I'm also going to challenge the kids being challenged with honors rigor, and then I'm going to differentiate for the strugglers so that I can have the same class but have basically 3 tiers but teaching the same content. And it just allows teachers to feel good about the fact that they're not telling kids, no, I can't, we gotta go this speed or this level. It basically presents the ability to have multiple levels, and kids don't necessarily even need to know who's doing what. They can talk if they want, but it allows that. Where in a large school, you would have more able kids just by the nature of the flow. And so this gives us a chance to meet the high needs. And I think we've done a great job with our struggling learners and our mid learners. And I can speak for the 45 years that I've been part of this district, we have not done a good job at all times for our high end. And this is an opportunity for us to do so. I feel strongly about that. If you need to tweak it, I'm great with that. But I feel like the concept is solid.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very excited about the concept and about most of the stuff. Like, I'm definitely interested in a little bit more discussion on how you work language in that does work on
So,
two things. One,
specifically like.
specifically just like if we don't offer a class, what are we doing? Like, what are we doing instead then?
If we're not able to offer class, what are the options?
Yeah, on the specific requirements, yeah. And then the testing one, that one is really mostly a personal question, but since it's a policy also, like I feel like there are students who would be able to pass all the classes potentially through hard work, but for testing for one reason or another would not be able to. So then I guess they could get the GPA bump probably from the classes, but not get an honors diploma.
Well, that's a question.
That's what
So
we talked about.
I don't have the policy in front of me, but you can demonstrate that you can demonstrate proficiency.
The committee wanted to not do the
Okay.
demonstration
Okay.
because the committee when we met last year did not want to do that.
Maybe they would this year.
I honestly, we talked about it was last spring that we really formulated, in the fall we talked about this has been part of the package. I wasn't the one that even gave that input on that,
Be an interesting conversation to have again, just looking
Yeah,
at,
since we've been talking so much about testing on a different
Yeah.
front, and since we've also been I've been seeing and hearing more about like proficiency demonstrations and stuff as like it might be worth
moving.
having another
Yeah.
conversation about. I don't have, you know, a problem with it, but it is as written, but I do think it's worth a more discussion, because I think it's,
Other ways to demonstrate proficiency
Yeah.
besides a one shot.
Yeah.
I'm not disagreeing, I just,
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this is the first reading.
Yeah, that's right, that's why I'm bringing these up, 'cause it's a
yeah, no, this is great.
Yeah.
Perfect.
But I'm really excited about it, not just for the students, but I think for the teachers, it's something that, like, if they're excited about something, they get to bring some of that excitement in another way, you know? So it's good for students and teachers in that way, I think.
I mean, since it's a first reading, and this means we would adopt it next month.
Right.
I mean, I would love to see our new superintendent weigh in on this as well. I mean, this is a big thing. So I don't know, can we put it off?
Well, can we do
Or
the
can
first
we
reading
alternate
now?
it? Or,
First,
or,
right.
I mean, it could be a work in progress. I
Yeah,
guess we could
yeah,
say
Yeah, we
that
can,
we would adopt it, but
we
we're
can adopt it,
not.
then we can make changes to it
Yeah,
if we need to.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited, and thank you for doing all the work to get this in place. Like, my questions don't come from a place of not being excited about the program.
No.
It's just more just like, you know, it's new, so there's gonna be lots of tweaks and lots of things to look at. So, yeah.
Well, and you might have people ask you about it, and you need to be,
Yeah.
you know, say this is what we,
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I know it's been a lot of work to put it together, and it's
well,
appreciated.
thank you. Because I think I think our teachers feel good about having the encouragement to offer more rigor and.
And I would be able to just, another way to engage with students.
So you'll take Mizu's kind of questions back to the committee and see if they have any comments, and
Yeah.
we'll talk about it again next month, or what,
Yep.
for the second reading, okay? Okay, 6.6, decision related to matter heard in executive session per ORS 1926602A, which is to consider employment.
So, this is where I make a motion to engage, to approve engaging in contract negotiations for the position of superintendent for the 2020, starting in the 2020, summer 2021, 2022, 23 school year, gosh, I'm sorry, dates, with Sue Wilson, who is our
Final candidate.
final candidate and our choice as superintendent, so.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor of moving into to negotiations with Sue Wilson for the position of superintendent, please raise your hand. Motion passes 4-0. Thank you. District reports.
Wait,
No,
no.
I'm sorry. 7, library.
Thanks.
It's been so
Honor,
patient.
you're up.
Okay, yeah. So I made a little packet, and the top page is what I distribute.
It's
This is
okay.
better than that one.
Okay.
And this is- yeah.
So I invited Honor. Honor's been our library media specialist. Oh my gosh. Is this the second or third year?
2.5 years.
Yes.
So your district contracts with the ESD, who I work for. It's a Division 22 standard. You have to check the box that a certified librarian is doing the work. And Mapleton doesn't get very much time with me because it's per student, how they distribute a lot of the time. Also, so anyway, what I've been doing all over Lane County, I have 32 schools. I have been going in, and most schools, like Mapleton, don't have giant budgets for the library. My background is that I worked in 4J and some other districts for over 20 years as a school librarian. I also am an English teacher and a social studies teacher. And so I found my calling in teaching research, That's what I do best, and I write curriculum around it. But I haven't really been able to do that because right when I got hired, the pandemic started. And all the PD goes to other things right now, especially SEL, I think. And I find that appropriate, although I'm jealous. And so what I've been doing instead is going into the libraries and cleaning them up because our staff have classified people who are not trained in library, they just have good hearts. They don't know some of the practices that we do in libraries. And one of them is that we want to make sure that the collection is up to date and that's respectful and that's a dynamic library for students to use. And so I have been going in and making space. I'll just put it that way. I've been taking books out. It's a process that we casually call weeding. It's also called deselection, but it's really called selection. And selection means that we're choosing the books to stay that are there, and the other books are going away. And it's pretty massive here at this school. It's not as massive as in other places. I think my biggest job was Oak Ridge and Blue River and all the schools in Fern Ridge. Those were huge. This is pretty big. It's not that much. I'm very efficient. I've done this so many times. I know all the books. I know their publication dates. I know places in the books that are objectionable. And so I think you can rely on me to make confident decisions on what books don't belong in our school library. Right now, functionally, I'm just calling the elementary school the school library, and then the room that used to be the library. And so I have gone, last Thursday I went through all those boxes. It was about 110 boxes. I did 100 deadlifts. So this is the criteria that we use. It's based on the American Library Association. And continuous is really one of the most important things. And it hasn't been, and that's why it feels so big. The reason I'm talking to you is that we have to throw away the books. And so there's about 85 boxes of books right now that need to be discarded. And people who want to do good sometimes say, let's send them to the Indian reservations. And I object.
Nasty thing to say.
It is, but I hear it a lot.
Whoa.
And so I have high graded some of the discard books, and usually the policy would be to offer it to the teachers first and then offer it to the children second. And so we have some books that are like that, but the books that are boxed need to go away. They just need to go away. And I hope that you can trust me for that. I also have printed every pertinent administrative rule. I keep calling them policies, but they're not. That Mapleton has. These are pretty much up to date, which is great. And I highlighted anything that mattered. But the sheet that I really want to call your attention to is this one, which is the reconsideration form. Because right now there's a big wave of book challenges, and any community member is a person who has standing to challenge a book. And so a book challenge doesn't begin until this form is filled out and returned. So somebody saying, I don't think you should have that book, is not a challenge. And it has to, the minute we get this back, the clock starts ticking. And so that's when I have to get involved and some other people too. Jody, etc., Brenda. So it hasn't happened here. We don't have an online database. It's hard for parents to know what we actually have unless they see what they bring home. But doing a big clean out also can help us strengthen why we have what we have. And so if there is a challenge, we have knowledge about that book instead of, well, it was here. All the books after tomorrow will have been decided to be here. So that's called selection. So I just wanted to let you know, in case you get any questions. And also, thank you so much. You were my first school board. I've talked to a lot of superintendents, but I feel like this is really important. And also, you know a little bit more about how we do what we do.
So she's
Hey,
working, oh, I'm sorry.
Honored. Number one, we are so lucky to have you. I mean,
Oh, thank you.
I mean, for real.
Yes.
If anybody's going to go touch our books and decide which ones stay, and I'm completely confident in your ability.
Oh, I appreciate that. Actually, my heart's fluttering.
No, totally. I mean, before COVID, I spent a lot of time in that elementary library and would just roll my eyes at some of the books,
Yeah.
and I'd be like, all right, come on now, it's 2020. That
Yeah.
book's still here?
We can't have that, but we also, just so you know, also, plan B for next year, hopefully, is, and by the way, Sue Wilson is a friend. Well, she's one of my leaders.
Right.
Okay, so, next year, I'm really hoping to get some PD time because I know how to instruct using the online databases and locating information online and have site sources online. And the OSLIS, which we have a link to, the OSLIS database for elementary school has National Geo Kids, which is really fun. And so it seems like we could play around with that a lot starting hopefully next year to stand in for a lot of the books that we had to take out because we don't have something to put back yet.
The other thing I wanted to say is, when you started this, you said, I don't get much time in Mapleton because it's based on ADM. And that's really a shame.
But it's not quite like that because my former boss, who I loved, told me she used a little bit of a socialist model, and she said, schools have more needs sometimes.
Yeah, right. Right, okay. Well, I think Sue Wilson being involved here is going to have, she's going to help maybe right some wrongs in that. We used to, and I've said this a million times, we used to call it the ESB, Eugene, Springfield, Bethel. And that the little districts really didn't get our due because we would get outvoted because, it's based on.
Yeah, it's, and also having worked there, I just find it appalling how inequitable the whole county is.
Thank you.
So,
Yeah.
it's just,
Okay, well.
Well, and so Honor's been working with Christina, because Christina is working in the elementary library too. And so last Thursday, like she said, she did the storage area, a lot of nonfiction books, but tomorrow, her and Christina are going through the actual library together. I think it's important to have that partnership and that, understanding, and Christina knows this, and we've gone through the weeding process with her, and, there's books that aren't going to be in the library that are, like you said, for teachers and then students, but, I appreciate Honor's expertise in this area. It is not my expertise, but it's nice to have somebody who's gone through the process, who knows what they're doing, and can defend it and say, well, here's why. So, and then also we've kind of switched the purchasing process for library books. So when Christina wants to purchase library books, or if there's a novel that a high school teacher wants to teach, anything like that we purchase will be vetted through.
because I read the review journals.
Right.
So, for fun.
And then that also for fun, that also gives Honor the ability, if there is a book that a high school teacher wants to teach, to have a conversation with, okay, that's great, let's make sure that this is part of the conversation, right? So we can have those genuine, real conversations about a book. So anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah.
It's more than just the library.
Well, and also being at the ESC, I'm in the community of practice for SB 13, the travel history, shared history, so I have access to a lot of book lists like that. I was talking to Janoj yesterday, who's the specialist at 4J, and he gave me all of his book lists. And I'm friends with Brenda Brainerd, she's working on a book list.
Yeah.
And so I have a lot, and Bethel's spending $44,000 on diverse books this year for their school libraries, and I have their book lists.
Yeah.
And so we have a lot of access right now, and it's a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just knowing people, and also the Black History 365 curriculum, I was working on that yesterday, and it's grades 3 through 12, and all of those books are available just for asking. So we can have those here, and they're also ebooks, so you can have both.
Wow, so great.
Thank you, Honor.
Thanks,
And I also
Honor.
have the ethnic studies standards that are being adopted right now by the ODE, so all that stuff plays a part.
Thanks.
Thank
I'm trying to
you.
stop, I'm trying.
You, Honor.
not that it's a huge question, I know she was trying to get out of here.
She was.
What's the determination factors though of things that go or things that stay? How does it get decided to keep and how does it get decided to go?
Right, so we really rely heavily on her knowledge of each book, but that's why she's working with Christina too, because Christina also has a different knowledge of kids that have read the book or comments kids have made, or, so she really follows the crew and the musty. So what you do is she looks at, crew, which is it's continuous review, evaluation, and weeding, but then she uses, the musty. So like M, is the book misleading or is it factually inaccurate? If that's the case, that goes in, is a book that can go in the, weeding, but I'll say weeding pile. Ugly, meaning worn beyond mending or rebinding, right?
Okay.
Not necessarily old, but it's falling apart and maybe then it goes away, but we get a newer version. Is it superseded by a new edition or a much better book on the subject? Is it trivial, meaning there's no discernible literary or scientific merit? There's some fun books that you would just keep because
Kids
that,
like to read
they
them.
love that, right? Like the Guinness Book of World Records. That's
Yeah.
great. That doesn't mean it's weeded out. And then irrelevant, and then elsewhere. Can it be obtained elsewhere? We have a pretty small library it's normal size for an elementary size, but it's not. We've got a lot of books that can't fit in the library because there's so many other books in there that we need to go through the weeding process. And then as you weed out, you bring in new. And one of the things, she didn't say it, but in our conversation last Thursday with her and Christina, before we started this process, she said, what she's seen in her 30 years is when you go through the weeding process and you get new books in, the circulation increases.
Well, yeah, because they're excited to see the new stuff.
Right, there's new books, and it's continuous. It's a continuous process of in and out and in and out. So,
But you can, Andrew brings up a really good point. In these times, one woman's misleading is another person's, or facts, like we like to debate facts. This is a fact, but like your fact looks different than my fact. So, I have to say, I have a lot of faith in her because
she does have the knowledge and experience for it, but it doesn't mean you don't, whatever the word is, question or oversee it or wonder what goes in or out. Or like if you're bringing in other literary type things, like she mentioned the two as she left, does that mean anything else that's always been factually important or anything goes away or gets put on a back burner versus I'm just foreseeing any other questions or concerns that I know have been brought forward before.
Yeah.
So
I don't think it goes away. And she has the ability to not just look at Mapleton, but to say, well, what's happening in other parts of Lane County or other small rural school districts that are similar to ours? Like she had the book list. Some of those book lists we might not necessarily want all those books here. But it's definitely not a one person, one decision. It's a conversation. It needs to be, it's like you said, just thoughts and talking about it, which is why it's important she works with Christina on that, and with me, and then whoever's the principal next year. So, yeah, it's exciting. Yep.
District reports.
That's you.
Well, because I'm smart, it's you first for sure. Because then I just smile and say,
Taylor said it all already.
yeah. So thank you very much for being here.
I don't know if I'm allowed to, but I do have a small comment on the honors thing coming from a student. I just like to say, as a student who's in one of the honors classes, I very much enjoy it, and I know a lot of people, other people are in it, enjoy it. It's actually like my favorite class. But I've noticed coming from a student perspective, especially as someone that's not going to college, I don't care about like an honors diploma. I think having the classes as just there is super awesome, even if it doesn't always allow you to get an honors diploma. So just my little piece on that coming from a student.
I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's valuable. Thanks.
Yeah, but sorry, district report. Obviously track has been going on for a little while. It's going well. We halfway through a season. We started off with about like 4 members, with 2 of them not showing up at the time because of other sports. Last time it's kind of been just 2, but recently we actually got a lot more track members, so it's nice to see that it's actually growing. We've actually been in the paper a lot too. I thought I'd mention that. So that's when I feel like we've been represented actually really well from the Sayusala News, because I remember hearing one time my aunt texted me like, "Oh hey, you're in the front page newspaper." So that's nice that even the smaller schools getting really represented well. It's coached by Mr. Dillahay, and assistant coach is Carrie Dean, and it's a really interesting and fun experience this year. Middle school track has also been going on. It started up not too long ago. They have their second meet this Saturday at Mackenzie, and they are coached by Cassie and Ryan Barrows, so that's been going really well. We did an interesting thing, I think it was last month, with the Fun Weeks, which was, we had a set, during our second period success classes, we had a set of options students could pick from. Some was like wood burning or like vocal lessons, and basically if you were passing all your classes by that week, you get to participate in it, and then if not, you go to the study hall. That was a really fun experience that I think everyone enjoyed, and we're really excited to see it come back again. Not before, but that was just I think a good way to boost our morale.
Do you think it'll motivate the ones who aren't passing to be eligible the next time it comes around, or do you think it's a motivating factor?
I think it definitely helps motivate. I was actually falling behind because of COVID and stuff, and that was a big factor in me trying to get. I think I got like 3 classes up from failing, because it's really fun. So it was like I feel like a lot of students were like wanting to do it, and I think the second time we did it, I'm not really sure, but I think we had a lot of improvement within grades, so they could participate.
Good.
So I think that helped a lot.
Yeah.
Since the COVID restrictions have gone away, the student council saw this as a perfect opportunity to do a dance this year. So we are planning to do a summer/spring themed dance towards the end of May. And the student council has been working pretty hard in trying to get it going, and we're really excited for it. And we've a lot of students seem excited to actually have dance this year, because we didn't think we were going to get one, so we were really happy to have that and plan for that. Outdoor school, I think it's technically not outdoor school, but is it?
It is.
Okay, that is what it's called. Okay, sorry.
Yep.
That is starting the first week of May, so
Wow.
that's really close. Tucker, Carrie, and Miss Smith have been the 3 main people working really, really hard on it, and at least I personally think they did a really good job at it. They've helped all the counselors, I'm one of them, at getting ready and preparing us, and we're really excited to give the elementary schoolers and this year's 7th graders, since they didn't get to do it last year, give them a chance to learn some things and have fun with it. And I think they're really excited. We did practice our songs actually this week, so I think they're pretty excited about it. We're all really, really looking forward to it. We think it's going to be really fun.
Do you still sing The Order of the Fork?
Hmm?
The Order of the Fork? Do you sing that song still? Do you remember that one?
I
music?
do, I
I think so.
I
I've
think they
never
do,
been.
yes.
Uh-huh.
Okay, I mean, you kind of have
You
to.
didn't
You
go
kind of
with that
have
as a
to.
camper?
You kind of have to.
Is this your first time going?
Yeah, this is my first time I've gone. I'm actually
Oh, okay.
going tomorrow to look at it and stuff, because one of the few never went as a elementary schooler.
How many counselors and how many students are going?
There is, I want to say 8 counselors, 4 boys and 4 girls. And I
8
think-
or 9.
How many?
Is there 9?
8 or 9.
Yeah, 8 or 9. And there is, I think they said between 40 or 50, or is it not that much?
Total.
I think it's about
30.
30 students.
They always told us to
About
prepare
right.
for 40.
Yeah.
But so it's right around 30-ish. students we'll have there.
Fifth,
Awesome,
sixth, and seventh grade.
Yeah, it's
awesome.
fifth, sixth, and seventh, since the seventh graders missed it due to COVID, so we're having them go.
Aren't we the oldest school in the
I was just writing
state?
down,
Yes.
for a little history lesson, we're the longest running.
Yeah.
My husband's cousin is in her 70s, and she went as a sixth
Oh,
grader their
nice.
first year, Linda
Really?
Symington.
Wow.
And so, it is the longest running outdoor school in Oregon, and especially thinking about that we go to the same camp location.
Yeah,
That's
I know.
pretty impressive. Yeah.
what a
And
cool
where is
thing.
that? I don't know
Camp
where-
Lane.
Camp Lane. You'll love it. It's
Yeah.
probably the most fun thing you'll do if you're
Mhm.
able to.
Yeah, I've heard really good things about
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
so I'm
Well,
excited
that,
to be a part of
that and honors classes, those are the two.
Okay, there you go. Sorry, Brenda, I stand corrected.
it. Right? We also, I don't know if you guys knew this, 2 years ago before COVID, we had a coffee cart.
Yeah.
It actually started a lot longer before that. It was an actual coffee cart, but we actually had it in the commons. We started that within the past month or so. We were really excited about that. It's led by Terry, and I'm actually the manager of it. We were really excited to get that back up. I know Terry's been trying to get that going for a really long time. We thought about it doing it like outside during lunch, and we recently were able to get it set up in the commons again. And I think that's been going really well. We get a lot of kids and staff coming in for coffees, and I think that's another thing that kind of boosts morale. We try to have the commons in there set up so if kids do want to come in a little early or do stuff, they can actually hang out, and it sets kind of that cafe vibe.
Mhm.
And so we were really excited to get
Cool.
that.
And I get to be a regular customer. and it's
Awesome.
It's so great to have coffee a couple times a week, and
Wow.
so, yeah. it's-
So, Caleb, what do I order?
And she gets the Moricano.
And
More
we're
Morocco.
gonna-
Get
Yes, yeah, and, yeah, like, yes, like, everybody gets, their- they're, the regulars, they know what you want.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah, it's pretty great, so,
Awesome.
yep.
But yeah, I think that's all for the district report that I have.
Great report. Thank you.
Thank you,
Fun.
Caleb.
Thank you, Caleb.
Yay.
Oh, okay. Never mind, that's out later, because Caleb submitted some public comment.
Yeah, do you
Yeah, I
want,
also have a public comment.
Oh,
should we go ahead and read that while you're,
Sure.
just to be respectful of your time, so, yeah.
It's been a long night, yeah.
Yeah.
I printed it. Okay, you're here, you read it, or you tell us.
So I don't have the exact thing with my crowd.
That's okay, you can just
Yeah.
tell us, yeah.
I was in the right speech for it, I just kind of, but basically, as you guys probably know, we're not an off-school campus during lunch. Except for the seniors. I know, when talking this morning about that, she said that in the past, seniors came to the school board to present, to allow them during lunch to be able to leave. When looking a little bit more into that, it's a relatively strict thing. You have to meet a certain GPA. I don't know exactly, I think it's 3.5.
From the previous, it's not quite that high, but yeah.
Oh, okay, so it's,
Well, maybe it is 3.5 for the previous, but yeah, there's a GPA involved.
yeah, there's GPA involved. I know your attendance, so if you don't show up a lot, if you don't show up to your next class due to it, that's a big one that I know then you can't do it anymore. And grades can be a big one if you're failing, so it's relatively strict. And I want to propose that maybe sophomores through seniors, or maybe even the freshmen, to be able to leave during lunch, as long as they follow, they have to follow that same procedure. Because I personally feel like it's strict enough that it won't be like abused or like used as a way to like skip classes or do stuff like that. So that was just my proposal of being able to have that.
What do you think what's your motivation, or what do you think the benefit is, or?
Well, for me personally, since I don't have a car at the moment anymore, sometimes I use that for, because I don't get around a lot, as almost time to shop a little bit, like get a thing for like breakfast tomorrow, or sometimes if I don't like what's on school lunch, like something I'm just not fond of, I'm able to go and get something from Randy's. And you are able to, from when the bell rings and you're excused from class, able to go to Randy's, get stuff, and come back with a fair amount of time left before you have to go to your next class. That's kind of like my motive, is sometimes I, would use it as that, and then I know there's other students that would like to be able to go to basically go to Randy's and sometimes get stuff. Since we don't have a lot of those places, it's kind of the only thing it's used for.
Yeah.
Or even go get coffee from the coffee shop.
But you can get coffee here.
At lunchtime,
No, it's only in the,
mornings, right?
yeah, that's the only time we do it.
So when you need your second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, look, I'm thinking of some.
I'm just curious about your thoughts on what about those kids that don't have cars and can't drive?
Yes, so, as one of them currently,
Yeah, yeah, that's kind of why I was like,
yeah, it's a little bit of a walk, but there's been times before where I've signed myself out for something, and you can, I know, actually one of our seniors, Noah, has done it before, and you can walk to Randy's, even get a sandwich, which I don't recommend it.
They have to
It's a
wait to
while.
make, yeah.
Yeah, but, and come back, and like walk back, with still usually 15 minutes to 10 minutes of lunchtime left before your next class. So even if you don't have a car, it is still within a reasonable amount of time. You just have to manage it a little bit better.
my biggest concern would be kids that do have a car giving kids that don't have a car rides. That would be a big,
Yeah.
huge red flag for me,
Yeah,
right there.
that's-
As well as, just putting it out there, we don't have sidewalks.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have really safe ways to walk to and from, at least from here to 126. Once you hit 126,
Yeah, then
at least then there's a bridge, there's a walkway, sidewalk on the bridge and you can go under.
yeah.
That's one of my other big concerns would be, but
What percentage of our student body would be able to fall into that category that would be able to do that? With this,
If we follow the attendance rule,
yeah.
none.
None.
Yeah.
Or none that we don't want them to be here for, right? Like, that's not a thing right now that, but I would have to look. I didn't know that this was coming today. I knew he had talked to me before about what it would, why can't we? And I explained the process of how we allow seniors,
So we can
I
find that
certainly do the
Yeah.
research before next board meeting.
it also, because it does require parent permission.
Yes.
They have to sign it. I'm just trying to remember what that
So
is
we
a
don't
big
let kids
piece.
ride with each other.
Right.
No,
There are some steps at
Lots
least.
of, yeah.
Yes.
I mean, because you do have to think about in the driving, then you have to know, is that kid really allowed to take other people with them, whether it's
Right.
parental permission or not? Whether it's in their
Yes.
driving privilege time as far as
Right,
obtaining
so
their
that's
license.
why we just
and,
say, no.
Yeah.
We don't allow
And I
that.
get
We
it.
just don't allow, because
Yeah, exactly.
let's be honest, even if they're legally allowed to, kids do not drive as safe with each other in the car. That is
They do
just,
not.
we know, and it's such a,
Yeah. So we
such a
can
big,
gain some
big-
information and see.
And is
I
the
think
current-
it's 2.85. I don't think the GPA is that high. I think it's close to like 3.0. I don't think it's, I could look that up.
So is
It's been a
the,
while.
what's in place right now for the seniors, is that just is that in the student handbook, or it's not a policy like this kind of policy? Or what?
So
where is it?
originally, we were a closed campus,
Right.
strictly
And that was
closed
a
campus.
policy.
That was
and that
a
was.
policy, okay.
And then, in fact, it probably is policy change. And then they came and requested through the board, and we did a trial on seniors with these expectations, and they were expectations just to ensure kids were safe and that, they got back to class on time. You can't be late coming back
Right.
from lunch, or you can't take kids with you, those kinds of things. And it seemed to work really well, and so it stayed, that is the current practice and policy. So, I mean, we can look and see, what it would mean to add 11th graders and 12th, or in 10th graders and freshmen. That would concern me just with the kids walking. It's not as safe and secure. But it's something we can look into if you guys want us to, or Brenda to.
I'd actually feel safer with them walking than driving.
Yeah.
It-
in some
I
instances.
mean, yeah, I think it's a toss-up either way,
It's
yeah.
really a toss-up.
It's
Yeah.
either way, they're off campus and they're out of our sight, not that you're a little kid, because I know, and you're a responsible woman, you're also saying that if we make this policy, anybody that meets the criteria, and I can't say,
Yeah.
well, I trust you.
It also, for me, I can completely understand, like, a little bit of independence when your age is, that's understandable, but it's like an equity issue partially to me when you can portion out this a segment of your student body, and it kind of changes the culture of your school a little bit around lunchtime. So there's that little piece of it as well. It's on the scales, I could see going like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be interested to know what other schools do, both other small rural schools like this, but also urban schools, because I know, like, friends who go to school in city schools, they go off campus to the stores all around them all the time.
Yep.
And
That's a different culture.
Yeah.
well, I know,
I mean-
but I understand it's a different culture, but I also don't know that some of the reasons that, or that ability to do that wouldn't apply here.
When I mean it's a different culture, I mean, it's a percentage, it's a bigger percentage of your student body. If you take a bunch of kids in a big school, you're still gonna have a lunchroom full of kids, or
Yeah.
or a campus
Yeah.
full of kids.
Yeah.
If you take 5 or 10 kids out of our high school, I don't know, I mean, it's just something, it's just something I'm thinking,
I mean, I grew up in a school, complete open
Totally, me
campus.
too, totally.
In Cottage Grove. We always left for lunch,
Yep.
but you had a lot of options, and you had to drive your cars. And so, yeah, it was everyone jump in a car, 4 people in a car, multiple cars, whatever, and you left to go. I don't remember if we were allowed to do it as freshmen, getting in someone else's car, but I mean, it was just the normal practice. So
Totally,
in a setting
absolutely.
like this, it's different. There just isn't places to go. I mean, I know they do it in Fern Ridge because they come over into the parking lot where I'm at every day, and they leave campus and come over there. So it's not a foreign thing. I get it, and I get the independence of it. The
Yeah.
age range, and that's generally a good stipulation as far as having to make rules or be equitable. Okay, so just juniors and seniors, I get it. There's a hierarchy. It's a stepping stone. It's something you grow up to earn. That sort of thing. I mean, I think it was good. You did a trial with the seniors, and they passed. And they've done fine, and if they're not, they lose their right. But
Right.
Not a cut and dry issue, is it?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, let's put it on the agenda for next month and talk about it some more, or get some more information. I mean,
Get more
yeah,
information.
maybe get in the packet what's
Current
current, what's
current
there now,
practice.
so we can just see it too.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I did forget one thing on the agenda, or the report, kind of forgot about, if you guys don't mind.
Sure.
It's not set in stone yet, but me and our student council president, Opal, and our person in charge of student council, Ms. Chambers, are working at completely redesigning, redoing the student council constitution.
Oh, wow.
So I figure that's probably something you guys would want to know. We did last year, the student council, which me and Opal were a part of, we cut some things out because we noticed there was I think 5 other positions in student council that no one's ever applied for, and who knows how many years that we actually cut out and merged with the others. And after looking at it more and how confusing it was, we, the 3 of us decided that we want to try to make that a goal for the end of the year is to make a new constitution.
Nice. That's a great goal to work for. I like that.
And I definitely won't use that as leverage to be elected as president next year.
The rightful heir.
That's right.
Awesome, that's cool. All right.
Cool.
Thank
well, I'm
Thank
glad
you.
you guys are having a dance because I did wonder. I'm
Yep.
like, it's prom time, so
Yeah, come on.
what's
now.
happening? Yeah.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Unfortunately, it's not a prom dance,
Exactly.
but
It's a
For
dance.
yourself.
yeah.
Good
Yeah,
luck with that.
exactly.
I heard you say you had a stress fracture. Good luck with that.
Yeah, yeah.
They take a long time to heal. Actually, a break
Worse,
is,
yeah, a break is better.
yeah,
Can
it's
be.
really I had stress fractures, so I'm empathizing.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm hoping I'm getting looked at Friday, so we'll see by then how long it will roughly take. So I'm hoping.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, good luck.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Anything, Brenda, else you want to add about middle school, high school report?
Tomorrow, there's a job fair that a handful of our kids are going to, and it's focusing on not necessarily college career type things, but jobs that people can do right out of school. It's focused on seniors and some juniors that have access to other services, and so that's exciting. I think Molly's a little disappointed there's not as many people maybe that wanted to do it. There's only more people said, but I'd rather a few people that really want to be there get a great experience out of it, so I think that'll be good.
Where's that at the SD?
Eugene, it's put on by the Lane
Connected link, yeah.
Connected
Okay.
County
Oh,
folks.
okay.
It's good. They have so many offerings right now. It's just it's so amazing. Career-based trainings and jobs, and it's great. So that'll be good. I believe you're going, right? Yeah. That's it that I feel is really important right now. Unless there's something it's early yet.
Early, yes.
Yeah,
We've
The
actually
comedian here.
Yeah.
One of my
Hilarious.
long days, I'm home by now, so.
Right.
Okay, Jody, your
Yeah.
report, you're next?
So tomorrow, our elementary students get to, typically this time of year, we would be heading to the event center to watch the dress rehearsal of the Crow Kids performance, which is Frozen Junior. But this year, we get to watch it live stream.
Oh,
So each classroom is going to be all set up to watch it in their classroom tomorrow morning, starting at 9:30. We're going to have popcorn delivered so they can, at intermission, all of them have popcorn and just enjoy watching the performance of Frozen. We're really glad they offered that. So not just our little school, but Siuslaw and Reedsport schools. We all usually go. And this was a way for us to be able to at least watch it. So we're excited about that. Conferences are also tomorrow night and Friday morning. So long days ahead. But spring conferences they're fun. They're important. We've been really pushing otter tickets at the elementary schools. So it's a part of our PBIS, Positive Behavior Intervention System, where kids, we give out otter tickets. It's like money. And then they collect them and they can then come to the otter store in the office and buy little trinkets and little toys and or save them up and buy bigger things. So we've kind of been throughout the year using that as a positive reinforcement, focusing on the character trait of the month. So if it's respect, then you really give extra praise and extra otter tickets for kids that are showing respect or being respectful. Still working with OHA and Lines for Life. We have set another evening for the community conversations, and we're still working on planning the community wellness night. It's been a struggle because unfortunately after our tragedy in Deadwood, there's been several tragedies that involve schools around the state. And so while we had the focus for a little while, they've been OHA and Lines for Life have been pulled in so many different directions that tomorrow's our, I think, third time trying to connect because it just hasn't worked out. So we're still planning a community wellness night. We're really looking forward to it. We have a great menu of groups that are going to come and share. The Dougie Center is going to come and talk about grief. And we're also working with OHA and Lines for Life to provide free medicine lockboxes, handgun lockboxes, and long gun lockboxes for free.
Awesome.
So we will have a certain number. Once we run out, we'll just take names of people that want them and get them if they want them, and that is through a grant with Oregon Health Authority. So we're really excited about that, to offer that for community members that want them. you already heard about the library work we've been doing. We are planning, we have one more professional development day in May, and that will be a planning day for the high school staff to plan for next year's classes. What do they look like, you know, 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade, social studies, language arts, what does it look like? What math offerings do we need? What elective offerings do we need? So we can kind of move towards planning for next year. Same at the elementary with the schedule. And then I've officially confirmed, and I don't think Brenda knows this, hiring of another math teacher.
Well,
Her name, I know you didn't, I hadn't had time to tell Brenda. So yes, her name is Krista Henry, and she actually was a special education teacher, but has also done teaching math, advanced math. She's able to teach advanced math courses as well. Really excited, so we're glad on that one. And then next week we have, I've offered a position to an English language arts teacher who also can do advanced coursework. She's coming out next week. She's in the middle of her student teaching and ed tap is what they call it, I think, through U of O. But she needs to come and take a tour. We need to make sure this is a right fit for her, a right fit for us, you know, just in person. So she's coming out next Thursday to take a tour, and Brenda will be here to give her a tour and talk to her about our wonderful district. She'll meet some kids, work with some kids. One of the things we added for the math interviews is we had 2 applicants. We had them teach a lesson to students. It was amazing. I had Dawn Chambers, our current math teacher, come up with the lesson topic. They both had the same topic. The same kids were in it. And Caleb was one of the students that was in there. And they got to give feedback.
awesome.
And so, it was really empowering for
So
me.
we're gonna have 2
Exciting,
math
isn't it?
teachers.
Yes, so we will have 2 math teachers,
Wow.
as well as English language arts, and then the art teachers also has language arts. The thought behind that is currently at the elementary, we split out for individual math classes. And so we have 2 high school teachers that teach elementary math. One teaches 6th grade math, one teaches 3rd grade math. So that kind of limits the offerings we have here. And so that's gonna help shore that up.
Awesome.
So,
And
yes.
it'll allow us potentially to have another session of science, because
Yes.
Lou currently teaches
A math
geometry.
class. So then we can pull math to
So-
2 teachers and
Mhm.
so it allows for the expansion of more offerings for classes for students.
Cool.
So,
That's
so
great.
once that one, you know, hopefully is hired, then we will be staffed for next year.
That's great.
So,
Awesome. That's great.
yes.
Fingers
So,
crossed.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So that's what I got.
Awesome.
Okay. 9.0 finance tech, 9.1 audit results.
Yeah, I think you should do that.
I'm trying to think, did I send you guys the audit? I mean, it's
No,
always
I
so
don't.
entertaining.
Yeah, we love it.
You know, I
We love
just-
it.
I know, I didn't
don't think you
actually
did.
see it.
Oh, and none of you missed it?
I might have
No,
missed it, but
I
I
didn't
didn't
miss
see
You
it.
didn't miss getting it?
I
Come
mean,
on.
It took them, I'm going to go out for RFP
Are you?
for next year for a new audit company. I mean, if they come in at a decent rate, then I'll, you know, but it was bull practice. I mean, and I asked them about our contract, and we have to give them notice by January 1st if we want to not renew. Our financials are due to us in the contract also by December 31st.
Right.
Oh, man.
And, you know, I just got them a couple of weeks ago. And a number of districts are in the same situation. They sent one, you have to send one to the state, to ODE, by December 31st, and they did that. They sent one to them saying, this is just for ODE, not for other things that I have to send it for. And so I was fairly disappointed, especially since we did the audit in September.
Yeah,
it
August,
was like,
September,
it was like
yeah.
early.
Early, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm done closing out the year pretty early, so get it done. districts, I've heard that this company's had some turnover,
Mm.
a bunch of turnover,
Man.
and looking at costs for some other districts, if I can get someone more local, maybe someone out of Eugene, you might see some cost savings on it also.
Where's this outfit?
Polly, they're out
It's
of,
Polly Rogers that
Right.
we've used
Yeah.
for
Yeah, for a long time.
ever.
they might
Well, not
be-
forever, I mean, we did have somebody local before, but like,
Oh.
where are
They
they?
might be out of
Salem or
Might be out of
Portland.
Salem.
Oh.
They do a lot of schools,
They do
Right.
a lot.
but he's right, there's been a lot of turnover and there's a lot of
Yeah.
chatter in the
Interesting.
ranks that this is, that just that thing, you don't get your stuff on,
Yeah,
And-
right? So,
yeah.
Yeah, they've been all right to work with, but I want it done in a timely manner. And if they can't provide that, then I want someone who can.
Yep,
Sounds good.
So, and if I save money,
that's cool too.
so I'll get that sent out to you. There were no findings beyond the usual separation of duties. Nothing, no issues. For the financials, a couple of the big ones, early childhood cares, got a couple thousand, that was evaluations on students, the superintendent search. Independent actuaries, that's related to the audit, GASB 75, they have to evaluate some stuff, so I have to get that done every 2 years, so did it 2 years ago, so we're doing it again this year. And then on my business group, they sent out wondering about, there's a group that works with PERS, with OWEB, it's related to OWEB, that does it, and they sent out a quote to all the districts and we're getting it cheaper than what those guys are offering through these guys, so, and they do a quick, easy job, so. SHI, some more Chromebooks through E-rate, so that's almost $9,000 charged there. Just E-rate continuing to toss money out, and they're opening up a third round of emergency connectivity funds, and so I don't know that we need anything. If I think of something, I'll apply first. But we've got stuff. Those are kind of high on Central Link, and that's 2 months worth of power bills.
Yeah, that's high.
yeah.
We didn't
Whew,
leave
I
the
saw
lights on.
Yeah.
That's just, 2 months worth, just got them bunched up on time. Most of the other stuff, I think, is just normal monthly things, let's see.
Sorry, I was reading,
That extensive.
I was reading the long letter.
I know, it's so heartwarming.
Proud.
Yeah.
Proud
Yeah.
moment for you.
So, any questions on any of the finances? And, it's further down in the discussion, but I'll wait until that.
Okay.
It's just, to the usual, it's nice to have an audit that doesn't have big issues, so thank you.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yep.
Any questions on the consent agenda, the payroll check register, the AP register, or last month's minutes?
I move we accept the consent agenda.
A second.
It's been moved and seconded.
She's sleeping over it.
All those in favor, raise your hands.
Right. Michelle, right?
Okay. Consent agenda is approved unanimously. Discussion items, equity committee, 11.1.1.
So we met again last week, and it was very cool. One of our seniors wrote a paper about her experience as a new student, as a freshman, she's a senior now, as a Latino student coming into Mapleton, and some of the challenges and some of the hopes and some of the processes. And somebody who's been here forever, it was really nice to see a different perspective, and it was very well received. One of the things we want to do with that is look at kids coming in and what are their experiences and how do we welcome, and race could be part of it, but there's like anytime you have a small school, it's just kind of a close knit community, and it's awkward to come in to that. Jamie, our registrar, talks about when she came here as a sophomore, she was a little overwhelmed with people being so friendly and there's new people, and she wasn't, and it was, you don't think of it as being kind of stifling, but it can be for certain personalities, and so that went really well. We're going to continue with that. I do want to share something. It's not really equity alone, but there's something called the 15th night. Did I talk about it at all?
Yes.
So it's up and running.
Yep.
We have over 25 people that are on the RAN. We are working on a closet, kind of at the same time, because we have some grant monies for homeless and for kids in need. And so maybe I'll take it on a tour next month, but it's upstairs. You know how we did the renovations with the shear wall? There's what used to be the cage that had the drums. Now it's a closet, and it wasn't being utilized for anything, and so now it's going to be a closet for clothes. And it's going to be a place where kids can shop. Terry Johnson is in charge of it. She has taken it and ran. We've got shelves that they built or put up. They've got baskets. They've got toiletries. There's going to be blankets and sweatshirts. Today we talked about getting a donation of bike helmets and making it a place where lots of kids shop. So one thing we had as an idea, we're not ready for it tomorrow, but in future years, if we have kids going to a job fair, they could go shopping the day before in it and make sure we have professional level clothes. And because some kids, why would you buy a shirt you're only going to wear every 6 months when you could buy a cool sweatshirt that you would want to wear all the time?
Right.
And so having lots of kids shop. Another idea we have is having some student leaders and different people from all backgrounds, maybe taking a trip to Florence and going to St. Vinny's and going shopping for the closet, right? Making a community feel and giving each kid, $30. You go buy clothes and it goes to the closet, and making it really about everybody having access and not because you are scholarshiped in. So that's really exciting. And Terry was talking to me this afternoon. I called her and she's so excited. So
So you guys take donations for any of that, right?
we will.
It doesn't have to be brand new things.
It does
just
not
good
need to be. In fact,
quality.
they're doing a clothes drive in Florence. I do not want to hurt feelings, but we are going to make sure, we will want to make sure that it's appealing for teenagers.
Yeah.
Sure. And that's,
Sure.
so if we get donations that we don't anticipate, maybe we can have a committee of kids say, no.
Yeah, exactly.
They will too. They
Yeah.
will too.
Definitely.
That makes sense.
So, Janice Patterson, one of her favorite stories was about a kid that she bought a big swimsuit for back in the day when kids went swimming. And the girl knew she was getting one, but the girl goes, kind of relieved, and Janice goes, what? She goes, I just didn't think you would get me a swimsuit I'd like. Janice thought I was going to get her an old lady swimsuit.
Right.
But she had Ashley, she was relevant. So making sure it's relevant is more important than whether it's new. And in fact, St. Vinny, to me, going there, I think a lot of our kids shop it secondhand and like it, right? I hear lots of good things about it, secondhand in the halls, and my family uses secondhand all the time. So, good things happening.
Awesome.
It would be really neat if she would come and speak to the school board.
It would be. 'Cause
Yeah.
how about if we put her on next month to take you on a tour of the closet?
Fine.
Are you talking about, who are you talking about?
Terry. No, I was talking about,
The senior?
yeah.
Oh, I was talking about Terry coming
I
to
think
do
we're
that.
talking Terry too.
Oh,
Thank
Her
you.
names came up a lot
sorry,
tonight,
I was trying to hold on to make sure you ask if she can come and speak. Yes, I would love for the senior that spoke at the,
I will offer
equity
that
meeting
invite.
to come and
Oh,
speak to the school board.
I think you guys would be impressed.
Yeah.
No doubt.
It was a great presentation. Did a great job.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Okay, 11.1.2, the superintendent search update. So I did just want to run through how we got from March's meeting to today, kind of for the public record. And I was thinking earlier today when I was thinking about this, because I know I'm going to leave stuff out, I am going to try and sort of document the process. Number one, just, we can make it available on the website or whatever if anybody's interested, and maybe nobody is. But also, 5, 8 years, however many years down the road, I just feel like it'd be nice to have it, to be able to look back on it the next time we do have a search, like to know kind of a process that we followed. So that's, Kristen and Kathleen are willing to help me with it to make sure I don't forget anything. But so in March, I think at that time I reported that that we'd gotten our 8 applicants. I think it was 7. I think I might have said 8, but 7 applicants. The search committee looked through them all. So at the point in March, I believe, we had narrowed it down at that point to 3 that we were interviewing. And the board interviewed 3 candidates. After those interviews, we decided to invite 2 back for a second interview with the board, as well as an interview with stakeholders in the community. When those invites went out to those 2 candidates, one candidate did have to remove their name for personal reasons. So at that point, we went from 2 candidates to 1 candidate. And we decided at that point, instead of continuing with the second interview that would be the board interview and to the community, that we had enough questions about this candidate that the board really wanted to dive deeper first, because Sue, I guess I can say names now, can't I? Had kind of an interesting proposal, and we had lots of questions that we wanted to dive into. It's big on partnership with the ESD and partnerships with other, just partnerships. So we kind of wanted to understand what it meant, boots on the ground. So we invited Sue back to make a presentation for us, which she did. And I think we told her it was, we'd need an hour of her time. We ended up taking over 2.5 almost hours, because we just had so many questions. And but we really did dive into kind of what her vision is for Mapleton, and felt at the end of that it could work, and we were excited about it. So at that point, we wanted to get some more feedback from stakeholders. So we did hold on this past Monday morning. We had our finalist, Sue, come back again and meet with a stakeholder group. I think there was about 13 invited people who represented teachers, staff, community members / parents, and students. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and they ran through a slate of questions as well, and then we asked that group to give the board feedback. What did they like? What did they not like? What further questions did they have? And we've had a chance to review all those comments. We've also had a chance to check references, and the reviews from the stakeholder group were very similar to what our concerns were after our first meeting with Sue. It's great vision, and we had lots of questions. So totally understand those feelings, but also lots of really positive feedback from the stakeholder group, and like the energy, and really positive, good stuff as well. So that's when today we in our first executive session kind of went over the reference checks and the information that came back from the stakeholder group, and kind of made the final decision that we definitely wanted to move forward and move into negotiation. So that's kind of how the whole process played out. Did I miss anything, or any kind of?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't know whether it's relevant, but in that stakeholder group, it was a standard list, there was a list of questions. It wasn't like a discussion back and forth.
Right.
So when they offered feedback, it was off of the responses from a standard list of questions.
Yes.
Just to note that.
Yep.
And it really did help inform our decision-making. I mean, it was a crucial component, having the community and
Yep.
our, the broader community play a role.
Yep, for sure. No, for sure. So yeah, so that's kind of how it went. We're excited about, moving forward. I'm excited to kind of enter into some negotiations and just excited about the future. So, I mean, not excited, but
No,
excited.
I'm excited.
I'm
We have
excited.
something to be excited about, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm excited for the direction the district will be going under her leadership.
Yeah.
Very excited.
It's got a strong foundation.
Yes. Oh, well.
That you've left, that you're leaving.
Thank you.
I think that that's important, that you put your seal of approval on this notion, because, initially, and you as well, Brenda, because, and you, Jared, really,
Yeah.
because y'all really, your impressions and your perspectives were crucial in helping me make a decision.
100%. I agree with that. Yeah, so
She's solid.
Serious,
exciting
huh?
times
She is.
ahead. It's going to be different, but it'll be good. Okay, 11.1.3 state testing. We keep that on the agenda to keep it in the forefront. Is there anything that we specifically want to add or say today related to state testing?
I missed last month's meeting, which I was really disappointed about. But I guess I was shocked. I watched it the next day, and I was disappointed. But that was, just kind of my stance. I thought, if we weren't losing everything by putting that notion out there of no, we're not going to push this and put it on the agenda. If something happened, which I kind of believe nothing major would have happened, from everything I know as well, and my other dealings. If it did, okay, we would have learned then. We could have always stepped back. So I was disappointed in that sense. I thought, and I don't have all those notes with me tonight because I was more concerned about the other stuff we were discussing tonight, but there were some contradictory statements made by things that had been said before about state testings and people's thoughts, and then what they said again that night. And I think that the surveys and things that went out, a couple things. One, I think it was very miscommunicated, not misleading necessarily, but I knew immediately reading the results or those answers back that people's words they said were not what their answer they gave, and so I think there was a lot of misread, misperceived of what they were being asked. I don't know the guidelines of how they went out or how the advertisement of that survey or anything that went out. I only knew about it because I'm a board member and I sit in here, and I'm also a mom whose kid isn't up for state testing this year, but is in the future, and I knew nothing else other than from sitting in here. So me being, and I'm a very active parent, so if I wasn't on this board, I wouldn't have had a clue of how to participate, where to participate. So I think, which that's happened a few times, that communication has. I know I've brought it up a few times as a mom over the last couple of years. So I think that's definitely something more to strive for, because if I'm not sitting here, I don't know, and I feel like I'm an active parent. But then I thought our thought process, and so I don't know if I'm saying too much on this topic, but I wasn't here last month, so I've had a month to try to remember everything I thought of right afterwards. But then I thought it was more of like, let's make sure that people know, and not necessarily now we're the promote the opt-out, but that kind of was what I thought our thought process was, but I haven't necessarily seen a lot of that. I know originally when it was coming out that it was going to go on the website, I was like, well, that sounds like a buried link that I'm not going to know where to find. I have trouble finding links that I need to find anyway, without trying to bug people to find, like, Jamie, where is this? I need this now, and I felt like that was going to be a buried link. I've now looked, a couple days later, I looked again, and I think it was moved. Still, if you don't know what you're looking for, you might not find it. So it's not, and I know that even at where I work, if you don't have that beacon light out there, they're not gonna find it. I didn't even know how to get to conferences one time because it was kind of a buried link. So I think making note of that and making sure that things are more accessible. I'm not going to the website every day just for fun, you know, somebody sit and do all day. So put those things out there in the forefront. If there's this opt-out notion that we're giving and want everyone to know about, I don't know how they know about it. Because like I said, I didn't know anything about the original survey in the first place or any of this stuff if I wasn't in here. So I don't know that everyone's knowing enough about this. I think it came through on the surveys, obviously. There wasn't enough information, and so I don't know that enough people were rightfully surveyed of it, knew about it, had an understanding about it, and I definitely don't think they have an understanding of the opt-out.
So, two questions. So what would be your recommendation for avenues for better communication? Because if it was bad and you don't think people are hearing about it, what do we need to do to make it better?
Well, I think if we were trying to reach everyone, whether or not your kid is an 8th grader or an 11th grader, if you're trying to reach everyone, it definitely didn't get to everyone. If you're trying to reach even kids, people in the community, your taxpayers that don't have kids here, it didn't reach everyone. I fit both of those bills and I didn't know anything about it.
Right.
So I think whether that's mailers or whatever, you can't just go by that website. That's not, or trying to shove stuff out internet-wise or whatever. It's not always going to get to them, you know? Put it in the mailers. You've at least given them 2 or 3 options. You gotta give them quite a few options. I personally would find it more in my mail than I'm gonna go on the internet and try to find it. There's too many things going on there and just, you know, in my daily life. If it's in the mail, I will get to it. I will find it. And I'm gonna open anything up from the school.
It got mailed to 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 11th grade parents, and then it got put out on Remind app once, and then it got
To everybody.
to everybody
Remind went to everybody.
twice.
Yeah, 'cause
Once
I
and then
don't have it.
once again in the next. So those are the 2 ways it went out, and then it was on the website as well, with the link that's on the front page.
And so with that, a regular community member is not gonna get a Remind app and they're not gonna get a mailer, right?
Well, so then maybe that's my fault. I was under the impression
And I
that
thought
the
that you were
survey
probably
was
just mailing it to the ones taking it,
well,
but
though that the survey was for parents. I guess
I mean, that's.
because there's
maybe-
no way a community
sure,
member.
well, but even as a parent, I wouldn't have gotten it, but if you were only focusing on those testing years, that makes sense, but I guess I would assume, even if my kids, I'm whatever age, a 9th, a 10th, any age that's not up for that testing, I should get a vote, cause she might be next year.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's why we put it on a Remind app.
The survey, right, the
And I
survey-
must not be signed for a broad Remind app, cause I know I didn't get one. The
Yeah,
only ones
I
I think
got
I get is like
that.
Sean's classes,
Oh.
and not even all of them.
Oh, yeah, lots of,
I
like,
only
no,
got, like,
you
one
didn't
of
get a bunch today, because the bunch went out today too.
Nope,
Oh, yeah,
no.
yeah.
Um,
But I think, I don't know if you can see who signed up and who isn't, but I think there's probably a lot of families who aren't signed up for
We
Remind App.
put it.
I know that you put it
Oh
out
my
there.
gosh, we
It's
put it
not-
out
I'm
so
not-
much. Sign up for
saying
Remind app.
you
Sign up for
probably
Remind app.
didn't,
Sign up
and
for
I
Remind
might not,
I'm not
I might
saying
have
there's-
said,
No.
I don't want all that.
Yeah, I'm not
Well, you
saying
can
that.
get email too.
Right.
That's true.
Yes, but yes.
Which that would be
I know you, I'm
Yeah.
not saying that, I'm just saying I think there are a lot of families who, even with it put out there, aren't signed up for it.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
And that's true, because I know I probably didn't, because I know even at like my school, I'm like, "Ugh, I don't want, I get the ones for mine, and then I get, and like, I don't need 10 weather updates today, or the fact that this is coming up, you know?
Yeah.
So I get it, and probably even just the email service, that would work for me, but that's just for me.
I would want to take it up with Sue and start, thinking about how we're going to communicate better, and not just about state testing,
Right.
although that is certainly near and dear to my heart. But I think that, she may have some ideas, and we need to start brainstorming better. We did a lousy job with the survey, no question. That's on us. We developed it, it was just not, it missed the mark, so we learned something. But if we say that we are going to promote, and I think we did say we're
I
going to
thought we did
promote
say promote.
opt-out, we didn't do that. We didn't do a very good job of that. And so, a lot, I don't know what the percentage is, or how many kids are not, who have opt-out, how many there are, but there could have been more. And there are other school districts that have actually done a really good job promoting opt-out. I sent you the piece from Springfield. You know, I mean, if we're gonna say we wanna promote opt-out, then it's on us, so we'll figure it out, I think, but that's why it's gonna stay on the agenda.
So then my other, so really, so I think that answered my second question, which is where do we go from here? So it's just about kind of circling, I mean, this year's, the decision for this year is kind of, I don't even know if we've done this, it's probably, state testing's happening.
We're
yeah.
still getting some opt-out forms turned in, which is
Okay.
why I don't have updated numbers, because I keep getting them, they can come in until state testing starts.
I'm happy to hear that.
So we're still getting some.
So
in.
if we wanted to make another communication.
You could make another
we
promotion
could.
of it, yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, certainly we can, and we should. In my opinion, if we still have time, we should be making sure that gets out there. I'm convinced that since numbers are coming in now, it's because of that Remind app. At least that.
And a letter, yeah.
But you know, I mean, it's up to this board to decide how fervently we believe in our role here. And, you know, we made a resolution 2 years ago that said we want to opt out, and then we made another resolution that said we're going to opt in. You know, I don't know what's changed. Nothing has changed in the philosophy, I don't think.
I don't think so.
And we do run into the communication part of all the time because
Oh, for real.
with everything, and not
For
for
real.
lack of trying to communicate, but just for lack of, you know, hitting it out of the park, like finding every single possible one and having the
Sure.
time to do that too. So
Sure.
I think it's just a place that we should keep on here as a discussion item, and we should maintain focus that it's a good, you know, there's every issue in our school could, you know, would be well served by better communication, so.
We brought that up when we interviewed Sue.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
she had some ideas, so we'll see, you know, I mean, it's true, it's not just state testing. It's
Yeah.
that we don't have the newspaper we used to have here. We don't have a newsletter. I mean, we had a Mapleton newspaper. That was helpful. Having a district newsletter that went to every voter, not just every parent, that was helpful. Because regardless if you have kids in this district or not, you know, we have ball games people would know about that they don't come to because they don't, you know, they don't have it spoon-fed. I mean, and really, people need to get information in their faces. I know
Yeah.
I do, or it doesn't get on my calendar.
Yeah.
So maybe something is gonna happen in the next administration, we'll see.
Yeah, I just think we keep working on it. It's just one of those things that's never gonna be enough, you know?
I think
There's
you're
always
right.
more.
Yeah.
And so we just keep plugging away and make it better and better bit by bit.
I'm down with that.
Mm-hmm.
11.1.4 is board minutes, and that came up last meeting, and I asked to have it put on the agenda. I don't know, and it was really about, do we want to continue with printed minutes? Do we want the video to stand as the minutes, or the backup behind, just the minutes that show kind of decisions? And I had planned to do a little bit, kind of dig into it a little bit more, but just with everything else going on, I didn't have the time. But before I commit myself to doing more research, is that, it sort of came up randomly, and is it important or is it not? Because if we're fine with what we're doing with the printed minutes, then I'm not gonna put my time into it.
I'm
But-
fine with it.
Well, I wasn't fine because I was misquoted, so I didn't like it. And I mean, you know, it's not an indictment on your ability to take notes, Jaren, or to summarize my verbose nature anyway, but I'd like to know what other districts do, because, you know, if you find yourself misquoted into perpetuity, that doesn't feel good.
So that is why we review them and have the chance to make corrections before we approve them, right?
That's a good
So-
point, too.
So we can, I'm not like, I think that if you're we should not, misquoted shouldn't stay in there.
That's a good point, too.
It should, we should change it upon before approval.
So maybe it's more of our due diligence of really reading, combing through the previous month's minutes, right?
I mean, as it stands now, that should be the way that we do it, but I'm not saying that we need to keep it that way, but just that there is a mechanism for, for editing them, or correcting them, I guess is the better term, before they're approved, before they stay in perpetuity.
Yeah, I mean, almost like the agenda every time, we could do it, when we approve the consent agenda, it
Yeah.
could also be, I would like, the discussion would include, I'd like to make this, edit to the minutes, and then we'd be approving the consent agenda with edited minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why it's there on the
Yeah.
consent agenda, that's why you have to
Well,
approve
and
it.
while you're, since I was directed to look into it more, I asked other districts what they're doing, send out to OASBO, Business Officer Group, and most of them, yeah, it is a summary, you just summarize what people are saying. One of the people wrote back and said, I don't remember where they were from, but said in his dealings as a city commissioner that the minutes for that are really concise. Doesn't have a summary, it's just, this was
Decisions.
the action.
Action items.
Yeah.
This was the vote.
Mhm.
And really looking back, board minutes have to be kept as you, they're kept forever. And so there's some old ones, and I've had to look for something when I was looking for something for legal reasons, trying to find information. And that's how the old ones were kept, was no
Action items.
action items only.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not
And
discussion.
so it makes it, there's no information there, so I couldn't find any information on when did this happen. And so, if you notice this month's board minutes,
They were very concise.
they were just action, and that's kind of all I've done here. And so it's, there's pluses and minuses to both. And if we have the short form as the legal minutes, and, if we continue to stream them as a equitable thing to make it available to people that aren't available Wednesday night, so they could go and watch it later, or whatever. The stream, we don't have to try to keep the stream forever in the event that YouTube disappears for some reason. Or they take it, the video, I don't know how long they keep them on there and stuff, so we don't have to worry about, oh, well, we don't have that anymore and stuff. It was available for however long. Here's the minutes and stuff. And so that's kind of the direction I'm leaning if the board, is all right with that. Just, keeping the concise thing, and then this is available for, however long it's available.
I think that's actually standard operating procedure for a lot of places. There's one organization I work with that keeps, it's like an epic. It's absurd, like she said this, and she said it, and he responded, and then it's very detailed and boring and way too much information. And this is how this organization likes to do their process, because they're big into process. But I think a business meeting like we're having, I think I like the more concise, this is the action, this was what was on the table, this is who made the motion, this is who seconded it, and then, I don't see why that couldn't work, and especially with the backup of the
They want to
video.
look in depth, they can go there, yeah.
Yeah,
The only thing, and the one addition, I guess I would say to the concise is to actually have the other items at least on there, because I do think there's a benefit to knowing, well, I know we discussed this at such and such a meeting, and being able to go, okay, it was on this discussion, so then I know I should go and watch this set of minutes and hear what was discussed. I don't need to read what was discussed, but I need to be able to find it, and if we don't have the entire original agenda, I guess, although maybe that's that's required to be kept as well.
I think so,
The
for sure.
agenda,
Yeah,
okay, okay.
The whole packet, right? Yeah.
Yeah, the whole packet's always available on the website.
Yeah, but it's the agenda as amended, kind of, because we almost always edit our agendas, I guess. But. Well, I remember looking into this before, and thank you, Jaren, for
Yeah.
checking
Did the
into
work
the
for
other,
you.
yeah, because I clearly need to be better about who is doing what. I do, when I was looking at the policy last time this came up, I do think the policy said that you had to record more than just the decision, that you're supposed to try and get a summary, which is why we were gonna sort of keep keep the videos. So, I mean, I do think we need to make an attempt to try and keep the videos aside from just, they're on YouTube, but can we keep them somehow on, are you gonna try and find the policy?
I was just see if there's something on.
I mean, there's a way to archive anything forever, actually.
Right, right. We have
Unfortunately,
the-
but
Yeah.
the Library of Congress is full of stuff that's never gonna ever see the light of day.
Well, once you get to archiving all, then it's, how are you able to retrieve what you want when you've got so much?
Yeah,
stuff archived?
that's true. I don't know.
There is a policy. This is the current policy we have.
The true reflection of matters discussed with the and the views, so this is what, yeah.
Yeah, so that number 4, substance of any discussion.
Oh, goddess.
So it would just be.
First
it would
reading
just-
right now.
It would just be a policy
Please,
change, and
please.
what we can do is, we can check with OSBA and see what their different, because they're gonna have different options for how the board wants, especially now in the
Because of
realm of,
electronic,
of
yeah.
electronic.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah, I think that this would be a good one to send to OSBA, say, hey, can you help us update this and give us the different options for what is required for minutes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Great idea.
That's, yeah.
Okay,
Thanks.
yeah,
We're gonna miss you, Jody.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm gonna miss you guys too.
But from someplace like.
Someplace sunny and warm.
Yeah.
Yes. I'll send you pictures on a board meeting night.
Yeah,
Whoa,
make sure it's like
God.
at 5:59.
For the
Be
cocktail.
careful, because our comments will be recorded. Just saying.
True
We don't know
enough.
how.
Yeah.
We don't know how right now, but we'll
Right.
figure it out.
Figure it out.
Yep.
Alright,
Okay,
graduation.
yeah, 11.1.5 graduation, so I asked this to be on there, graduation is June 11th.
That's
Yeah,
Saturday.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it is.
And I can't be there, so if I need, usually the chair would be up there with Jody or with Brenda, I can't remember how it actually worked.
Both of us.
Handing out the diplomas. So if we want to continue that practice, I need a volunteer to step in my place.
Well, it's usually the vice chair, but I think it wouldn't be inappropriate for it to be Mizu.
I am
Be-
not gonna be there.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I think she's gone.
My whole family, like including my graduating senior, is not gonna be there.
What the hell?
Yeah, that's,
The what? Wait, don't,
Yeah.
don't.
Wait,
Pause.
Yeah.
Oh,
they have
goddess, Mizu.
the Oakland Hill and play on a ultimate frisbee team that is they're actually ranked #1 in the nation right now, and they're going to play their national tournament that weekend. And it's in Virginia.
I think they should change that date.
Well,
It's Opal's graduation, and she can tell them that they have to change their
Yeah.
national.
We tried, we
Yeah.
tried. Unsuccessfully.
Oh.
It's such a bummer. It's like,
That's why I'm going to graduation, to see my niece graduate.
I know. It's
Wow.
like-
Oh, well,
it's-
that's
it's
a
wow.
disappointment.
It is to me too, it's really. I'm
She
really
will
sad.
still be presenting a speech. It'll be pre-recorded.
Uh-huh.
We talked about possibly trying to live stream it, but I think we're gonna do pre-recorded, and if bonus, if we can figure out live streaming, it works, but I just don't want it to be glitchy because it's so important,
yeah, we
Yeah.
might as well have a backup plan.
so, yeah.
What about you,
I'll,
Andrew?
I'll be there. Yeah, I'll be at graduation.
Okay.
Do you want to be
Yeah,
willing to be
yeah.
up on the stage? All right, thank you very much.
It's like
Appreciate that.
I just have to say, it is like, I hate being up in front of a lot of people, and so that part I hate. But the times I've done it, it's very, very, it's an honor, it's special.
Oh, yeah,
Super
yeah.
special.
I'm excited to do it, you know?
Have you been to a Mapleton graduation?
I've been to everyone since I've been here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, she was there last year, I just did the.
You did the
Oh,
handout,
Yeah.
'cause, yeah, I offered it up, yeah. Yep, okay, board terms, so obviously this needs an update of names, but I just wanted this on here because I couldn't remember if someone was going off this spring, and I got worried that we hadn't talked about it and we'd missed our opportunity, but we're good.
I did too, that's why I was like, because it wasn't updated for a
Yeah.
while, and it was like, yeah, so then I got worried.
So
too,
these
but-
are current dates of terms
I know,
Yep.
expired.
Yeah, okay,
Yep.
Okay.
But
thank you, yeah,
I'm
that's,
worried that we'd miss deadlines and stuff too. So I
yeah,
was like,
yeah, so next year, we need
Next
to
year.
be, yeah, we need to be on it.
There's the agenda. Okay, there we
Okay.
go.
Okay, item 12, public comment, not on the agenda, we already
Did that?
did that one. We will get that on for some future discussions. Any other comments from the board, item 13? Okay, then the board is going to move it back into executive session
Yippee.
for ORS
Short.
192-6602H to consult with counsel concerning current or possible litigation.
Right.